What is going on, you guys? Today I have another super quick episode for you. Today we're going to be reviewing a YouTuber named Bradley TV, and the episode is called This is the Way to Truly Reach Financial Freedom. Sounds pretty good, so let's hop into it.
9 times out of 10, that's where you attract and get more wealthy clients. Like, think about it. You guys want to learn financial freedom? It's real simple. You stack up all your bills. Understand that the future is dependent on 3 categories. What we're going to do is a little call-in show called Brad Vice. Brad Vice. Anyway, what's going on there? What's up, TikTok? If you guys got some questions, throw them at me. Business, you got a problem scaling your business? You got a problem closing a deal? You got a problem in life? I'm a problem-solving fool. What do we got? Real estate, well, depending on the kind of real estate, is a cash flow asset. But do you want cash flow? Folks, here's how money works. It's pretty simple. The money that you earn, you want to use to make more money. And then you just keep earning as much as you can. And you take that earned money and you invest it into passive money. And pretty soon your passive nest egg is making you more than you can earn on your own. And then you can start freaking becoming a full-time investor. But you literally have to earn.
By the way, this is why people recommend something like, like stocks, index funds, real estate. Now, stocks, I think, are a little bit more risky because they go up and down like that. And so I'm not the expert on this stuff, but I would recommend doing your own research. But basically, the reason people recommend this stuff is because the alternative is saving it in a savings account that is not gaining a lot of interest, right? So really, you're just storing your money somewhere. And there are such things as high yield savings accounts. So I would recommend looking into those as a potential option to gain more interest on the money that you save and put away, outside of learning how to invest in different areas. Now, the flip side of this is some people get into things like lifestyle creep. They start making more money and they start spending more money, like, oh, let me get a nicer apartment. Let me get this super nice new car. Let me take out a mortgage loan. Let me take out student loan. Let me take out, let me, get a mortgage, or not a mortgage, a loan on a new car, like finance it. And the cars especially are depreciating assets. So like they just go down in value. So it doesn't matter if you got a hypercar or a supercar or whatever, right? Like you're basically like throwing money away at that one. So people like needlessly spending rather than investing, which is funny, right? Because if they invested in things, they could make their money work for them, and their money would multiply and grow, rather than throwing it at something like a car or just like, Gucci, whatever, right? It's just like they're wasting it at that point, really.
Earn enough money to begin with. You can't be an investor with fucking $18 left over after your, job pays you and you pay taxes and then you pay rent and then you pay for dry cleaning and then you pay for food and then you bought a fucking dog, so now you need dog food and you ain't making that much. So what do? Well, you don't do anything. You're stuck in the rat race. Money is a tool. Think about this. Money is a tool, and the tool is to make more of it, meaning this money is to make more of it. So that's the only purpose for this money. A lot of people save money, and that's like saving tools. Why would you save tools? So when you transition from a business owner to an investor, it means that you don't have to own the business anymore. Maybe you exited for 8-9 figures, and now you have a bunch of liquidity that you can go invest in. You're an investor because you sold your business. You exited your business. Now, if I'm a dude starting with zero, I would go master my skill set, and I would learn to sell, market, and communicate like a champ. And those 3 things will allow me to be in business instantly for anybody. Why? Well, because I don't have to have a product of my own to sell. I need a product to sell. So all I need is the skill set to communicate, market, generate interested parties, and close deals, close business for any company. And then I say, I just want a little commish, a little piece for the niece, a little fraction of the action. And next thing you know, you're making $200,000-$300,000 a year. If you have to sleep on a couch while you're doing it, boo-hoo, call a ambulance. That's forging you. That's toughening you up. Think about it like this. If shit wasn't tough.
Well, I mean, and that's like, sometimes people have to go through that tough situation, right? Make a few sacrifices in the beginning to get to where they really want to go. Like I know there's probably tons of examples of this, but one I see it pop up a lot is if you don't know who Alex Hermosi is, he has grown a lot, and had several different businesses, sold a few. One was called Gym Lunch, and I think he basically, when he started, he was like sleeping on the floor in his first gym that he owned, right? And as he was building his wealth, building himself up, right, he was able to go from that obviously to, I'm sure he's living in a very nice place now. I'm sure he's like really close to being a billionaire, I think, at this point. So smart young guy, right? And it just goes along with what he's saying, right? It's like, sometimes you have little dips in the journey and you might doubt yourself, especially if you're in a situation like that. But that is kind of a part of the quote unquote like hero's journey, right? Like, no one's really excited to hear the story about like someone who was born a billionaire, right? It's the person who had the struggle, the dips, the highs and lows, and made it to where they wanted to go, or even farther than they ever imagined, right?
That's the universe's way to weed out the undeserving. You see? So when you get tough situations happening, you want to realize how lucky you actually are. That's gratitude. Gratitude puts your frequency up here. Your frequency is technically what you frequently see. So if you're frequently looking at the problem, you're going to get more problems. You're frequently looking for solutions, you're going to find more solutions. The better.
Yeah, it's wherever you focus your energy, right? Like if you focus your energy on the negative things, you're basically going to get more of that. And you focus your energy on the positive things, what you're grateful for, or even how you would feel. This is a big one. He might talk about this in a second, but how you would feel, how your future self feels, where you have accomplished your vision, right? Where you're super successful, you're very financially abundant, you've got an amazing relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how does that person feel in that moment emotionally? And feel that feeling now. And you start to feel those feelings of gratitude and positivity, and you basically attract, you can see more doors open. You're going to start talking to more people, right? Naturally, being more open, more positive, more abundant. And it's basically going to turn you into a magnet, right? To attract your future self to you faster, which is a crazy concept because like not everybody just stumbles upon that as a concept, but very, very helpful, very powerful too.
You are in finding solutions, the better problem solver you are. If you're a problem solver, you can't be broke. There's no such thing as fucking zero money. Why? Because you're a problem solver and people pay for solutions. People pay to solve their fucking problems. Well, you attract wealthy clients by, advertising or surrounding yourself where wealthy people go, Wealthy clients usually, operate a lot off referral too. So, make sure your clients are well taken care of. Make sure you start with one wealthy client, and then 9 times out of 10, that's where you attract and get more wealthy clients. But if you're looking for wealthy clients, then you have to figure out what your avatar looks like. And then ask yourself, where do they live? What do they read? Where do they eat? Where do they go? What airlines do they fly? What destinations do they go to? What hotels do they come to? And then you figure out, how do you reach them? Here's my Brad advice if you want to find somebody. Number one, go out a lot. Go out, hang with your friends. Go do shit that makes you uncomfortable. Go meet new people, but try to be in the places those people would be. Like if you hang out with a bunch of dirtbags in a dirtbag place, you're going to end up with a dirtbag. You go hang out at a freaking nice place with nice people, you're going to end up with someone nice. And to think that there's nobody out there is just fucking scarcity mindset.
Yeah, well, that's like, it also plays into the concept, like that quote of like, you are the sum or the addition of the 5 people you hang around the most, right? So like, basically if you hang around a bunch of dirtbags or a bunch of losers, going to the bar, drinking, drugs, et cetera, like not really, maybe they're not really accomplishing anything, right? Like you're going to get the same result essentially, rather than like seeking like a positive mentor or having other friends who want to level up too, right? So you're holding each other accountable, right? Like there's another saying where it's like you want to put yourself in rooms where you're sort of like the small fish, right? You don't want to be the big fish in the small pond. You want to be the small fish in the big pond, right? Basically, like go into rooms where there's a lot to learn from other people. And, of course, like you can still, like, there's nothing wrong with you maintaining relationships with people from the past, especially assuming that it's one that's like a positive relationship, or maybe you need to keep your distance from them and you can still be kind with them. So maybe see them from time to time when you go back home or something, but making sure that essentially you're creating healthy relationships where you're all lifting each other up. That's basically what he's talking about. And also, some way of thinking about getting out of your comfort zone here, I've heard people say this too, is related to what he said, basically would be finding where some of these people are. And that could be online, or that could be like you maybe spending. I've literally heard guys tell me like they would work like a caddy job, right, at like a golf course or like a country club, right, so that they could basically run into some of these types of people and learn from them, right? Like just being able to ask them, like what did you do to be able to like afford being able to live and do well in Miami or wherever. I don't know anything about Miami, but I know that's like a big one for the U.S. for people that are doing pretty well. Could be anywhere else though, right? Like how did you find your success? Like what did you do to reach this point? And oftentimes I'm sure they'd be happy to help, right? Because what you'll notice, right, is money is an amplifier. And that means if someone is like, let's say, greedy and not willing to help, then you might ask them that question and they'll be like, I don't have time for you, kid, right? But if they see themselves, basically if they see, I would say if they see themselves in you, like a younger version of themselves, like you're just trying to ask a question, trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to succeed as well, they'll probably have some, like a soft spot for you, right? Some empathy. And it's not always going to work like, because I think a lot of people who are doing well say they get the the email or a message about like, oh, like, can I pick your brain over coffee sometime? Like because you're asking for something rather than trying to provide value first, right? Like even some guys like the Alex Hormozi guy I mentioned earlier, or others, like I know this is a really tough situation, especially if you're struggling financially. But trying to offer to provide your service to them for like, I don't know, like half off or free, right? Like getting hired to do something because you want to learn from them and learn under their company or whatever, right? Rather than straight up like going directly into asking them for something, because basically it shows that you're like looking to get something rather than provide value, like basically being a giver, because being a giver implies that you're more in an abundant mindset, and so it becomes like a circle, like you're giving and you're getting as well because of that, right? So that's just something important to keep in mind related to what he's talking about.
You don't need to think that way. There is somebody out there. There's plenty of people out there. You're just not finding them. Why? Because you're at the gym minding your own business. Bitcoin is what everybody seems to want. So I just keep my Bitcoin. When someone's...
I really like that last thing he said too, right? If because the gym is great, but a lot of guys get too into like, let me work my 9 to 5, the gym, and then I go home and watch Netflix or whatever, right? Like, so they're like focusing on themselves king, but they're not actually like investing in high quality relationships and growing like a high quality, high level circle where people are leveling each other up, right? So they get into like the focus on yourself king, monk mode, blah, 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 lock in, bro, and they isolate themselves. And that is where they're failing basically, because sure, they can have some growth alone, because there is like, you have to be able to do both. You have to be able to put your head down and go through the quote unquote like the lonely chapter, right? Like you're sort of in the middle ground, like you're doing the work. A lot of people don't really understand what you're doing, and being able to do that, like actually do the work, but also having social connections in your life that help as a launch pad for you to get where you want to go, right? Because you need to be able to incorporate that at least once a week, at least, right? So that you, because we're social creatures, and people like to play it off like no mode, like, or no man, I'm in monk mode, like I'm not hanging out with anybody right now. And they've got like a weird like ego about it, like maybe they've been burned before or something. And I get it, but like you're doing yourself a disservice basically by avoiding making high quality connections, right? Because you're going to get where you want to go faster if you do what he's talking about, rather than isolating yourself.
Says, hey, what about this new coin? And I say, well, how do I get it? And they're like, give me some of your Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, why would you be wanting Bitcoin for this new coin if it's so valuable? and they don't have an answer for it because all they want is my Bitcoin. So I just stick with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the reward you get when you solve or you add a block to the blockchain. So literally it's just a reward, and there's a finite amount of them. So once they're all gone, well, then obviously they can be fragmented into anything. Well, Bitcoin is the king coin. So again, I would just say hold Bitcoin. But yes, I do. I own Bitcoin, and I own Ethereum, but I don't mess with all the little sub coins. I call them shit coins. Understand that the future is dependent on 3 categories: mindset, skill set, habits. If your mindset's screwed up, you're done. If your freaking mindset's good but you suck at what you do, you're done. So you got to have your mindset right. You got to have your skill set right. And
Yeah, mindset, and then skill set's a good one because he talked about this earlier, right? Like developing, being basically like a Swiss Army knife of skill sets. Like you got good at marketing, and then you got good at sales, and then you got good at these other things, right? Copywriting or whatever, right? Like getting good at these different realms, maybe leading, like supervising or coaching, right? Like, and basically you're able to do it all for a little while, and then at one point later when you grow more, you can start delegating at that point. But investing in yourself and your skill sets, right, it's obviously going to make you like a more attractive prospect for people that you might potentially want to work with or help, right? Because that's exactly what he's saying is if you don't develop the skill sets, it's going to be like, well, it's a lot harder for someone to like want to pick you up in that circumstance, right? So they're wanting some sort of value exchange, and it's not like, oh, it has to strictly be transactional. That's not really what I'm saying. I'm just saying like you have to be willing to show someone that you want to provide value, you want to help, and you're convicted in it, right? Like, because I mean, sometimes, not always, but sometimes someone who's doing really well for themselves will see your level of conviction, even maybe if you don't have the skill sets yet, and they'll help you get the skill sets because of that.
then you got to have your habits right, because if your habits are fucked up, you're fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, you show me somebody that's fucked up, and I'll show you fucked up habits, which boil down to bad decisions. And if you can't stop making bad decisions, well, then you're doomed. So what do? If you're starting at zero, you realize you got to start thinking abundantly. You got to start freaking thinking and being grateful that you're in this situation. Why? Because it's forging you. That's why. It really is. Most people don't believe that, but it's true because they don't have the right mindset. So imagine if I said, hey, I'll give you $10 billion, but you're going to have to go through some discomfort. You'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Why? Because you know that 10 billion's coming. The challenge comes when you don't know that it's coming. Honestly, if I only had 10K to invest, I would invest it into myself. I would invest it into some sort of skill that I can learn to make more money than I'm making currently, because I only have 10 grand, so I can't be making that much. So at the end of the day, I would take that 10 grand and I would educate myself somehow, some way with a skill set like marketing, for example, driving traffic, marketing in and of itself can make anyone very wealthy. But at the end of the day, you master your skill set with that 10 grand, Kirk, because you can't really do much in anything else, unless, of course, you go buy some Dogecoin and hope to God it fucking skyrockets. But that's a prayer. That's not a strategy. A good strategy would be take that 10 grand, go invest it in yourself, pick up a skill where you can make more money with that skill, and then you'll have more than 10 grand. And then you keep repeating it probably for the first 50 grand. And then now you're making some real money, and you're able to stack that paper, and then you'll get a bigger chunk. And then you start really investing when you have, $50,000 to $100,000 left over. And it's like, what do I do with this? Well, you get rid of it so you don't blow it, but you invest it, and then you just keep that process going. But self-development is where you should start, and you should never stop.
Advice on door-to-door sales. Don't do it.
No, I disagree. Door-to-door sales is a freaking unbelievable opportunity, number one, but it's the opportunity to thicken your skin and become a badass. Why? Because you're going to get rejected, and you're going to get your little feelings hurt. But if you pay attention and do it right, you're also going to learn how to freaking take rejection and let it roll off your back like a duck's butt. But in reality, as you invest, you're still in business. You're in business investing. So you're always going to be a businessman. The question is what kind of business are you referring to? A brick and mortar business?
Oh, and that's a good point too, right? Because rejection is all part of applying for jobs, doing business, sales, marketing, dating, right? Like friendships, like when you treat it in a way where it's like you're going through exposure therapy, right? Like let's just pretend like someone's afraid to go outside, right? Well, first you're going to have them look outside the window, and then you're going to have them get next to the window, and then maybe you're going to have them open their front door, and then maybe the next day you're going to have them take one step out, right? But that's it. And then they can go back in. Then a few steps, more steps, more steps. Now they're down by the mailbox. Now they're taking a mile walk around the neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? Like you can do the same thing with rejection, right? Like you get used to it and you realize like the world is abundant and you no longer have a scarcity mindset. You're not afraid because you're used to being rejected. And actually, because you're used to being rejected, you're more detached from the outcome. And it actually, ironically, makes it easier for you to have success and not get rejected, which is pretty funny, right? Because you gain that experience, become more confident there, and then you know what you're doing. So rejection really no longer bothers you. You're like, it's okay. Like I'm very confident in this situation, and it doesn't really matter what happens here because I know that the world is abundant and there's a lot more opportunity out there, no matter what happens.
Is there an exit strategy? How do you get out of it? Because that's when you transition, my man. You transition into an investor when you don't need any more businesses because you got so much fucking money. All you got to do is invest it and make more than you can spend. And that's the goal. Let's say, for example, you add them all up and you go, okay, my bills are $10,000 a month. Then I'd say throw on a dream, which means what? Like if you had no budgets, what would you be spending? Someone would say, oh man, I'd spend like 200 grand a month. Because again, I mean, monthly, you can live pretty freaking nicely at 200 grand a month. So at the end of the day, like that might be the tippy top. Well, when you literally say, okay, I need $200,000 a month, okay, how much money do you need to invest to get $200,000 a month in recurring interest-bearing accounts? Let's say you make 10% on your money, 5% on your money. Well, if you have $1 million, how much do you get every year? $50K. Well, that's not enough. You need 200 grand a month, 2.4 million a year. So you basically need freaking 200 grand a month. Shit, I need $10 million to get fucking 2 million a month. So $1 million, how much would that pay? So you start doing the math, and ultimately what you figure out is if it's $5 grand a month is your bills and you want to be financially free, you just go save up enough money to invest to where you're just getting your monthly fee coming from your cash flow asset, your investment. And boom, as long as that shit's solid, which real estate usually is, you're free.
Awesome. Well, that loops back into the topic of investing in smart things that aren't liabilities or depreciating assets, right? Meaning just that it goes down in value. So instead of wasting money, right, on, Balenciaga, Gucci shoes when you're not even in that position, right? Like maybe learning to invest so you can make your money work for you and grow first, right? Because sure, maybe by all means, like if you reach a certain point, you can treat yourself, cool. But I think a lot of people are wasteful. Like there's a difference between, a millionaire, a billionaire, or a wealthy person that can build it, lose it all, and build it again, right? Versus the one that can build it, lose it all, and then can't recreate it. So now they're just broke again, right? So keep that in mind because that happens to a lot of people. I think you see it a lot with like NBA players, or like probably NFL too. Like sports guys. I'm sure other ways too, right? So different celebrities. There's plenty of ways that it happens, but basically you get the idea, right? It's like learning to be wise with your finances so that you can make it grow rather than not being able to recreate that later. All right, guys. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. You got this, bro.